Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm Jeff Howe, joined by CJ Vogel, and somehow, some way, we're breaking down a 45-38 overtime win for Texas against Mississippi State on the road in Starkville on Saturday. Before we start, I want to thank our game day coverage sponsors. I want to thank Flight by Yingling, Von Lane, and Tito's Handmade Vodka. CJ, the adult beverages were probably being reached for something fierce when Texas was down 17 points in the fourth quarter. You know, when they had that failed fourth down conversion, CJ, I don't know what it felt like in the stadium, but doing the watch with us, it felt like not only is the game over, maybe the season's over. For the Sark news to come out this morning, this was the worst possible outcome.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know, I don't want to say it flipped on that penalty, but it flipped on that penalty because Texas comes back and somehow finds a way to win this football game, CJ. I still don't know how they did it.
I have no clue how they did it. And I was with you. You know, I even tweeted, I thought this game was over. I thought there wasn't a chance that Texas ended up coming back in that football game, and I've been getting worked for it, deservedly so. But I still sit here, you know, an hour or two after the game, Jeff, and tell you, I don't know how Texas won that football game. It was a combination of timely big plays offensively, obviously the Ryan Niblett return on special teams, and big-time major plays that you weren't making at all day defensively. And to go on a 24-0 run over the final 12 minutes and change, plus that overtime possession, they found something offensively. And I'd like to get into it here in a minute because I think there's some potential long-term truth here. But I was ready to give up on this team. You know, going into the fourth quarter, Jeff, I was watching the Texas sideline. I tweeted out a video once again. Lifeless. It didn't look like anybody was ready to put up a fight. Anybody was ready to put up a final stance. They were down 17. And what do you know? Something switches, and evidently Texas is leaving with a win. Amazing.
CJ, I don't know if this perplexes Sark, and I'm going to try to break this offense down as best as I can. But, you know, Sark's offense, it's about structure. It's about timing. It's about discipline. It's still very rooted in that old school Bill Walsh West Coast offense. But this offense seems to thrive and seems to be at its best when it's in a situation where it's more about freewheeling and making plays and playing off instinct, CJ. And quite honestly, that's when Arch is at his best. Now, there's a couple different conversations we have to have about Arch here, but I just don't know how Sark can bottle that and extrapolate it over four quarters because, man, when you just snap the ball to 16 and tell him to go make something happen, he tends to do it.
He does, and he did exactly that in the fourth quarter. To your point, I don't know how you just point at the play card and just say, hey, it's recess. Go do it for fourth quarter. You can't do it. But to your point, when he extends plays, when he uses his legs, when he escapes pressure, you know, it normally benefits the Longhorns in a very positive direction. And again, what was it, 340 yards passing through the air, majority of that coming, 250 actually in the second half, majority in the fourth quarter. That's what it is. And I'd like to talk to you about it, Jeff, because we've seen it twice now where Texas, against the Power 4 team, really started going. Even three times, right? It was the second half, fourth quarter against Ohio State, the majority of the fourth quarter against Florida, and then all tonight in the fourth quarter against Mississippi State. When Texas is in that trail mode, they got to go quick, and they got to start airing it out. That's when their offense moves the ball the best. I know that they're playing from behind. I know that defenses don't necessarily have, you know, their ultimate game plan in play, but something about just forcing Arch to make a play and not think about what the play call is or what might go wrong elsewhere. It's the best offense Texas has, and really the only consistent offense they've shown all season.
CJ, I actually think you're onto something. It may just be that Arch doesn't have time to think I got to go here, I got to make a play and go. You don't have time to process and go through the decisions. We actually talked on the watch with us. There was a drive where they were backed up in the second half. You know, they had a couple good CJ Baxter runs, and then they had a 3rd and 2, and they threw the ball because Arch pulled it on an RPO, and it was an incomplete pass to Emmett Mosley. And I'm saying that situation, take the decision out of his hands, like just simplify things for your quarterback. I know you've put it really good. You know, at this level, you can't hold the quarterback's hand, but you've got to strike that balance between helping your guy and honestly kind of saving him from himself at times. CJ, they found the balance. The unfortunate thing with Arch, he took a shot to the back in overtime on a 13-yard scramble. I don't know how it looked from the press box, but we could see on the TV copy, his eyes looked closed, like it didn't look good at all. What was the word after the game on Arch? And I don't even know if you saw Arch walking around in the bowels of Davis Wade Stadium.
Yeah, no visual on Arch. I did not even see him leave the medical tent after the game as well. So, look, it's complete unknown. No word from Texas on what his status was. Steve Sarkisian in the postgame did not have a comment on where Arch was. I don't know if Arch knew where Arch was at the end of the day, Jeff, but quite a shot. And, of course, that's the risk you run when your quarterback gets hit and he continues to try to make play after play. We talk about his toughness so much, but quarterbacks aren't meant to be hit 30 times, Jeff. I'm not sure what the actual number was, but, man, it felt like he was getting smacked around pretty good today.
But thank goodness for Matthew Caldwell, man. That portal pickup, it saved everybody's bacon and burnt orange today. CJ, I mean, that is one of the more impressive things you'll see on a football field, to come in cold off the bench in overtime and to even put that ball in a spot where Emmett Mosley could make a play. Just can't say enough about the throw by Caldwell.
Yeah, 2 weeks that we've seen in SEC play where he's had to come in cold and deliver a dart, and he's done exactly that. The most interesting part about that, Jeff, is exactly what he told reporters after the game, and it took me by surprise immediately. He said, yeah, we had an RPO called. I tagged Emmett Mosley to a fade route. And he ran a great route. I got him the ball, and he made a great catch. I said, tagged him. I said, hold on. So you called the audible at the line of scrimmage to throw the fade route? What? And he goes, yeah. And Emmett Mosley ended up confirming it. So, look, to walk off the bench to a guy that I'm sure you've had very limited reps to begin with his speaking of Emmett Mosley here, his slow start to the season with nagging injuries, to just say, hey, I know what I see here. I'm going to make the change at the line of scrimmage and deliver a game-winning football. That's unbelievable. And if Texas has to roll with Matthew Caldwell in the future because of Arch Manning being sidelined, look, I think I've seen enough, Jeff, where I feel comfortable with his ability to move the football. We'll see about consistently, but there have been some bright moments with Matthew Caldwell.
Yeah, CJ, we could talk about the offense all day, but I do want to talk about the defense from this standpoint. After the Booth touchdown, they allowed one first down the rest of the way, and it felt like when PK started dialing things up and bringing pressure, specifically, finally, they weaponize Anthony Hill, turn him loose. He gets 2 sacks at really critical times in the fourth quarter. CJ, that probably is something that they can use going forward is, hey, maybe this defense is just better when they can play downhill and be aggressive and get after the quarterback. And I mean, let's face it, Blake Shapen is not the runner they're going to face when they face Diego Pavia next week when Vanderbilt comes to town. But bringing pressure was kind of, while PK was searching for answers, he found one, and it was getting pressure on Blake Shapen.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that Texas hasn't blitzed more, right? But you start the game with 2 straight 3-and-outs, and you're sitting there saying, "Oh, they got their number. They got their number called today." Texas is going to figure things out, and try and propel this offense to whatever they can. And evidently, that all kind of disappeared. The ish hit the fan, to quote Rod Babers there, and it was pathetic. At some point, looking around saying Mississippi State's now over 450 yards, you're sitting there saying, what's happened? There were free runners everywhere. I'm not sure the explosive play numbers, but it was more than anything I had seen from a Texas defense this year. And then you get down to about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and PK, kind of like how Texas and Sark had kind of said, hey, we're battling from behind. We have to play in desperation mode. Blitz, 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 get pressure, and it worked, right? Those final 4 drives, possessions for Mississippi State, 3 plays, -9 yards, 3 plays, 9 yards, 7 plays, 20 yards, no field goal attempt at the end of the day because of pressure. And, of course, 4-and-out in which you were in the lap of the quarterback immediately. They found something there, and I think it's what we've all been saying. Weaponize your chess pieces. You've got queens everywhere up front. Go use them.
Yeah, CJ, the final tally was Mississippi State finishes this game with 445 yards of total offense. 327 of those yards came on 15 explosive plays. So Jeff Levy's offense was explosive, but Texas stepped up at the end to get the stop. CJ, I don't know who all you talked to during postgame. I don't know if Ryan Niblett was available, but I said it during the watch with us. My man could run for governor right now, and he'd probably win a unanimous vote. I hate to think where this team would be without Ryan Niblett, but Ethan Pulliam outkicks his coverage. Niblett makes a play with a 79-yard punt return. Here we are 3 weeks in a row now where Ryan Niblett makes a game-changing play on a punt return.
I can't imagine where this team would be without him. I don't know if they score against Kentucky. I don't know if they drive the length of the field, though they had been rolling tonight, right? It's one of those things where you kind of have to sit back and say, we're in the moment right now, something really, really special. And I think he's going to be rewarded at the end of the year with an All-American tag. Based off of these 3 weeks, find somebody with more of an impact across the country in the punt return game. And it's phenomenal because this is a guy that's had to work for everything, right? He hasn't necessarily been given a large role at Texas, but the role that he has currently is one that, again, I can't think of many that are more instrumental in providing victories for this team. Ryan Niblett is going to be someone that is remembered for a long, long time amongst Texas fans for what he's done in this 2025 season, and that's spectacular for him.
CJ, before we wrap it up, got to ask you, you asked Sark the question about the Diana Rossini report that popped early Saturday morning. It lingered out there all day. I haven't seen a video clip. I've just read the context of his response from you. Actually, Danny Davis from the Austin American Statesman actually typed out the full quote. It didn't seem like Sark was very happy that whole deal happened today.
No, and it wasn't a fun question to ask, but Sark was not happy. He said, quote, "It really pisses me off that one person can make a report that in turn the entire media, sports world runs with as factual to the point my agency and my agents have to put out a statement out," end quote. But goodness, Jeff, what an elephant in the room. It was crazy the way that everything kind of circulated to, well, he's off to the league. This team's falling apart. And I'm telling you what, through about the first 3 quarters, entering the fourth, again, watching that Texas sideline, I completely believed it. He's off. This team's quit. There's no fight left. Mississippi State might win this thing by 25. And sure enough, something flipped. And again, credit to Sarkeesian. We've heard it 2 weeks in a row now. Culture win is why we're walking away from another road campus with the victory.
CJ, we'll end it with this. I'll credit one of our members over on Texas Football for saying this is still a sloppy, undisciplined team, but they don't quit. A little bit of Texas fight and a little bit of talent has taken this team a long way. 2 weeks in a row. CJ, I hope they don't have to get themselves in a 17-point hole against Vanderbilt, because I don't think you're going to come back from that. But, hey, it beats the alternative. As I said that last week, but definitely this week. 2 games that could have easily gone the other way, but you come home with back-to-back overtime road wins. Not the prettiest thing we've ever seen, but, again, somehow at the end of this October entirely away from home, somehow this team is 6-2 overall. They've only got 1 loss in the SEC, and they're going to go into November, CJ, with everything still in front of them.
And we heard from a few players today. Parker Livingston, I asked him, I said, "Hey, you're going back on the plane. Are you excited just to enjoy the win with your teammates?" He said, "Look, man, I'm excited to be home. I'm excited to go play at DKR. This month has been a grind. It's been tough." And I absolutely agree, right? You're in Lexington. I'm here in Starkville. These overtime games, for as many plays that this defense and offense have played together, I mean, I'm sure they're excited to finally have the 12th man of some surround. I don't mean 12th man literally there, guys, but
you're in Starkville. We'll give you a pass on that.
But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, they're excited to finally have some backing from the home faithful, and I can't blame them. But yet everything's still ahead of them. It's going to be a little bit tougher, and we don't know what the status of Arch Manning will be, but everything is still ahead of them, and that's all you could ask.
Yeah, stay locked into the channel. If we get an update on Arch Manning, we'll bring it to you here, or we'll bring it to you over at ontexasfootball.com. CJ, thank you for the knowledge and expertise as always. Safe travels. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes for producing it. Thank you to our game day coverage sponsors here on the channel. That's Flight by Yingling, Von Lane, and Tito's Handmade Vodka. If you're not a member, over at ontexasfootball.com, lots of discussion over on the website. Sign up using the promo code OTFOG, and that'll get you 1 year of access for $39.95. Make sure that you like this video and that you're subscribed to the On Texas Football YouTube channel. That way, whether it's here on the channel or on the site, you're not missing anything before, during, and after every Texas game this season. For CJ, for Matthew, for the entire On Texas Football staff, I'm Jeff Howe. Thank you so much for watching and listening, and until next time, hook 'em.